My name is Ugo Nwokeji, born and raised in the heart of Obolo 4, a proud village in the Igbo land of southeastern Nigeria. My people say I was born under a strong sun and a fertile moon, a sign that my life would be one of abundance. And truly, when you hear my story, you will agree that my life has been like a calabash filled with both honey and hot pepper, sweet in one moment, stinging in the next. I am not just a man. I am a name that has become a song in the mouths of elders and children alike. They call me Ugo di Nudo, Ugo the man of peace. But behind that peaceful name is a life filled with toil, sweat, laughter, quarrels, and deep, unshakable love. Today, I am an old man with white hair that dances in the wind like cotton on the roadside. But in my youth, I was the strength of the farm, the pride of cassava, the one who could clear 5 plots before the sun reached the top of the sky. And I married 12 wives, yes, 12. I did not start with that number, no, it grew as the blessings grew. And with those 12 queens, the gods blessed me with over 100 grandchildren. You may think it is a story of endless joy. You may picture me sitting under an udala tree, surrounded by dancing children and the aroma of roasted cassava filling the air. But my friend, Ginika Ima, what do you know? Let me take you on a journey, my journey, so you can see both the bitter yam and the sweet honey that life has offered me. I was born to a humble man named Ugo Nwokeji, a palm wine tapper, and my mother, Mama Ezine, was known for her akara that danced in hot oil every market day. We were not poor, but we were not rich either. We had enough to eat, enough to share, but never enough to waste. When I was just a boy of 10, I would follow my mother to the farm. She grew yams and maize, but one day we stumbled upon a corner of land where cassava had grown wild, tall, thick stems and fat tubers peeking from the earth. That day I pulled my first cassava from the ground and tasted the joy of harvest. The root was raw, bitter even, but it tasted like possibility to me. As I grew into manhood, I rejected palm wine tapping. I told my father, "Papa, cassava will be the gold of tomorrow." He laughed, but he gave me a small piece of land just behind the stream where the red soil was thick and healthy. That was how I started. Just one hoe, one cutlass, and one plot of land. I worked like a man possessed. From morning till night, I dug, planted, weeded, and sang to the cassava like a mother sings to her baby. The villagers mocked me, "Ugo, you and this your cassava obsession." But I did not stop. I saw something they didn't. I saw the future in that root. In 5 years, I expanded to 5 plots. In 10 years, I had bought land from 3 neighboring villages. My cassava fed not only my family, but half of Obolo 4. I built a cassava mill with the first large profit I made, and from there, I started processing gari, fufu, starch, even cassava flour. People from as far as Nsukka and Onitsha came to buy from me. You see, I have to tell you this, the cassava that is patient will become gari. I was no longer Ugo, the son of a tapper. I had become Ugo the Cassava King. They say a wealthy man never eats alone and a strong man must share his roof. At first, I married Naoma, my childhood love. She was the daughter of a basket weaver and had hands that turned cassava into feasts. After her came Olama, the fair-skinned daughter of a chief from Umunze. Then Ngozi, the songbird who could sing children to sleep from a mile away. Each wife came with her own gifts. Some were gifted in cooking, others in farming, some in trade. I did not marry out of lust or pride. Number I married to expand my household of harmony and skill. Each home had a small hut of its own within my compound. My father called it madness. My mother said, "Ugo, are you building a village of your own?" I said, "Mama, family is wealth, and I am investing in both." Let me remind you of one thing. When many feet walk together, the road does not tire them. By the time I was 55, I had 12 wives, each with children, some with many, and then came the grandchildren, like rain from the sky. At last count, I had over 100 grandchildren, and the number was still growing. People came from afar to see this wonder. My compound became a festival of life. Children ran like goats, women cooked in shifts, and every evening, the sound of drums and laughter filled the air. But my friend, before you envy me, let me tell you of the bitter days. A man with 1 mouth and 12 wives has more than 12 mouths to feed. He has the weight of a kingdom. Onya na aku magpurun ke ukwu ga agoro magpuru ogbo. A man who plants deeply shall harvest generations. Jealousy crept in like smoke from a broken chimney. One wife would accuse another of witchcraft. One child would say, "Papa loves that one more than me." Quarrels became common. I became not only a father but a judge, a counselor, a warrior of peace. Food, even with my wealth, sometimes became an issue. Gary finished faster than I could mill it. Palm oil disappeared like shadows at noon. Once, I woke up to find that the goats had eaten my cassava stems. No one took responsibility. Discipline? That became another mountain. Some children grew up with pride, others with envy. One of my sons, Chisholm, ran away from home after a quarrel over inheritance. He did not speak to me for 5 years. It broke my heart. I remember sitting under the mango tree, staring at his empty hut, wondering where I went wrong. Then there was the sickness. When malaria came, it spread fast. 1 child, then 2, then 12, then more. I had to carry sick grandchildren to the health center in my lorry. One of my granddaughters, Adaobi, died in my arms. She was only 6. I still hear her voice in my sleep. I buried her with my own hands. That night, I wept like a boy. For the first time, I questioned everything: the marriages, the wealth, the crowd. I asked the gods, did I plant too much? Did I harvest more than I can eat? Even in the midst of my deepest pain, I never cursed the day I chose family. For though the weight was heavy, the blessings always found their way to rise, like cassava shoots after the rain. After Adaobi's burial, my family gathered in silence. That moment changed us. We began to pray together every morning, all of us. Wives, children, grandchildren. We planted a tree in her memory, and under that tree, peace was reborn. I created the Ugo Household Council, a weekly family meeting where we would resolve quarrels, assign duties, and teach one another. I gave the older children responsibilities. Each wife was in charge of certain sections of the household: cooking, market sales, schooling, farming, and homekeeping. Magbe ahu amamihem ji aru oru ugbo agagi em iwebata yanulo. Then the wisdom I used in farming, I had to bring it into the home. My eldest wife, Neoma, became the Onye Isi, the head mother. She had the calm of the river and the wisdom of the tortoise. When tension rose, she would tell stories that made even the stubborn children listen. My sons, once rivals, began managing different branches of my cassava business. I gave each one land and startup capital. I taught them never to beg, never to boast, and to treat cassava not just as food, but as a legacy. 2 of my daughters, Ifunanya and Chinaza, studied agriculture in university. They returned and taught me how to improve yield using new techniques. They even helped me start cassava bread production. Soon, Ugo Farms became known beyond Enugu. Trucks came in weekly to buy our produce. I was invited to speak at a conference in Abuja, where they called me the farmer with the largest household in Nigeria. I laughed and said, "Not just household, I have a nation of my own." One morning, I sat under the udala tree surrounded by grandchildren. One of them, a small boy named Tochi, came to me and asked, "Papa Ugo, how did you become so strong?" I smiled. "My child, strength is not in the body. It is in the heart. I became strong because I chose love, even when it was hard. I became strong because I planted cassava with patience and raised children with discipline. I became strong because I knew that true wealth is not what you put in a bag, but what you build in others." Tochi blinked. "Even when they made you cry." "Especially when they made me cry," I said. "Nihina agagi iji ifufe nwali osisi uku obula," because every great tree must be tested by the wind. And I have been tested. I lost a wife, Oluchi, to childbirth. That day I did not eat for 3 days, but her child, Kamsiochukwu, lived. And now that child is a medical doctor, the one who treats all of us today. One of my grandchildren, Chibuike, became a lawyer. He now handles all our land disputes and business contracts. Another, Ogechi, became a gospel singer and recently released a song titled Ugo di Nudo, in my honor. Now, in my old age, I walk with a stick carved from the wood of my first cassava stem. Every year my family gathers, all of them. The courtyard shakes with life. Dances, songs, roasted yam, laughter that echoes to the heavens. Each grandchild wears a wrapper with the Ugo family emblem. a cassava leaf in a circle of 12 stars, each representing one of my wives. I did not just raise children, I planted generations. Sometimes I sit on my carved stool and look into the sky. I see the faces of those who have gone. I hear their laughter in the wind. I know I will join them someday, but until then, I teach, I bless, and I remind them, life is a farm. If you plant bitterness, you will reap a quarrel. But if you plant patience, discipline, and love, your barn will overflow, even if the road is hard. So, to you who hears my story, do not fear a large family. Do not fear the burden of love. It will break you, yes, but it will also build you if you lead with wisdom and walk with the gods. Here is my final words. I am Ugo Nwokeji, the farmer of cassava, the husband of 12 women, the father of many, the grandfather of 100 souls. I am a man who lived fully, cried deeply, loved fiercely, and worked endlessly. My hands are old now, but my spirit is young, like the cassava shoot still springing in my fields. I may not live forever, but my story will. Yes. Enwere maiko gagi adi enduruo magbe ebigi ebi mana akuko maga adi. Tell it. Pass it down. Let it be a drumbeat in the hearts of those who wonder if one man can change the future of 1,000 lives. Tell them it is possible. Tell them about Ugo, the man who planted a family and harvested a legacy.
This is a production of the Bulletin 1247. Thank you for watching the